Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Changes are coming to silver mining in Peru, and what it could mean for you. Hey, that rhymes. Let's explore! We're looking at an article here from Seeking Alpha that talks about how the left-leaning president Pedro Castillo is changing the mining sector. He's not going to nationalize the economy like he had promised or was wanting to do as one of his initiatives, but nonetheless, there will be some changes coming, and this article from Seeking Alpha talks a little bit about it here. Mining is a large part of the Peruvian economy, the second largest supplier of silver in the world. Mining is a very important sector. It represents more than 50% of Peru's foreign exports and around 20% of the country's gross domestic product. And we can see here a list of the Peruvian miners here. And Fortuna Silver Mines, which has a significant exposure to Peru through an operating mine, Pan American Silver, which I'm sure you've heard of. The impact of changes to Peruvian mining law will have the greatest impact on Peruvian miners and those heavily invested in the country, while large, more diversified companies may be more concerned with the falling price of iron. So there's another commodity that's kind of affected by, falling demand. All the same, the Peruvian political landscape is important to understand for those invested in the sector. Politics does matter, folks, especially with the prices. Now, both sides of the political spectrum have an effect on the precious metal prices, and that is something that's very clear here, as well as some of the regulations and the like. The message of the Peruvian government since the election of Pedro Castillo has fluctuated, but what is clear is that the government would like to bring some changes to the mining sector. The government seems to be taking a more reconciliatory approach than their election rhetoric may have suggested they would, and are currently meeting with mining companies and international organizations such as the IMF and World Bank over proposed changes. Feedback about such meetings has been positive from mining representatives, but whether this is just a tactical declaration or genuine is unknown. The government of Peru would like the mining sector to have social profitability. This has been understood to mean increasing national income, respecting the environment, guaranteeing citizen participation, and support local communities, among other requirements. It's not entirely clear what this concept that goes beyond social license means, or further clarification is needed on what qualifications mining projects will need going forward. The government has also proposed a change to Peruvian tax law, supposedly to be enacted by the year's end, that would levy a higher rate on mining companies. In order to do so, it would need the approval of Peru's Congress, which is unlikely to uncritically support a sweeping change without the agreement of the mining sector. This is especially true given the fragmented nature of Peru's unicameral parliament, where the president's party does not have a majority, nor any other party. It has also been assessed that if changes to royalty standards were to pass, mining companies operating under existing agreements would be able to continue operating under their current contracts until they expire and have the tools to challenge the changes given constitutional constraints. There's a possibility that the government could try to change the constitution in order to do so, and Castillo's party has already started gathering signatures to do so. It's complicated by mixed signals, as the actual government denies it is currently undertaking to change the constitution, an action that requires congressional approval in Peru rather than a popular referendum, while Peru Libre, Castillo's party, seems to be going ahead with it. So the new regulations are most certainly coming to Peru. The extent of these is yet uncertain, but there's a possible bright line here of clarifying Peru's approval process for mining companies and giving new projects greater social acceptance. The government may decrease the competition from over 88,000 people in Peru who are conducting unauthorized mining operations. The tax reform is a greater unknown given the legal complications, but is likely to go through some of the moderated form and the increase is taxed on at least new mines, but is supported by the mining sector, which has to realize that they must accept some level of new taxation. Though there is still quite a bit of uncertainty as to Peru's direction under Castillo, most changes look like they will take some time. So that is the environment that Peru is looking at now. And obviously, Castillo, the rhetoric was very left-wing, almost socialist type of environment. We've seen that when it happens with Venezuela. And probably, likely, the fear is that Peru could take that same route if they're not careful. And probably he realizes that it's, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, and especially with that much of the economy affected, that they're going to have to do some negotiating here with more than 50% of foreign exports in the mining sector. Silver is a big part of it, obviously. And so what this could mean for us and for you as stackers as well, the cost to produce silver in those regions may increase if taxes are added to them. And depending on the kind of regulations that there are, that could impede some things as well. Obviously, some regulation is good, and maybe cracking down on those that are breaking environmental regulations or any other regulations. Skirting is a good thing, but nonetheless, I believe that there ought to be a balance, and we ought to find a way to not impede progress in the mining sector and business to get that silver out of there. So essentially, it could mean more expensive silver if some of the more draconian measures are taken. What we know from this is that we don't know exactly what this means or how much effect it's going to have, but that's the one thing that we have to take into account: political situation and regulations. And that is why, as I mentioned in a prior video, I'm going to be talking about what's going on in Mexico and how it is so important, obviously, as being the major producer there for silver, but gold as well. And understanding the regulations, understanding the environment that some of the companies the mining sector work in, and in that sector, they have to know all that stuff and be prepared for it and be cognizant of where the direction of the government is going to go to be able to operate, so that it is a stable, politically stable environment, as well as regulatory and safe. Safety is profoundly important, and obviously regulations play a part in that regard as well. So that's what's coming soon. Stay tuned to the channel for that again. But here's where we are at with Peru and the mining sector, the changes that could be coming. I think a lot of people were probably fearful with what was going to be happening with Peru, and I had talked about that in a prior video as well. So there we have it. This article from Seeking Alpha, very interesting indeed. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.